All right, we are here to rank top 10 receivers. We are recording this in May. I am currently on paternity leave, so doing this beyond the grave, beyond my lack of sleep. Before my lack of sleep, I should say, because probably right now no one can get a hold of me. But ranking top 10 receivers, I cannot wait for this, because when I did the short list, I got it down to 16 guys. And then I was like, oh boy, how am I going to cut this guy off? Where am I going to cut this off? So I'm curious where we're going to go, but we're going to rank it on through 10 through 1. We'll start in some chunks and blocks, discuss them, see our differences, see our similarities, and go from there. We are also just ranking these for 2025. No contracts, no age or anything, just their play in 2025. So in January, we look back at this and go, yeah, I got that right. Or like me with quarterback rankings, including, Trevor Lawrence and stuff. But anyways, Charles, let's kick us off. Receivers 10, 9, and 8. Let's hear what you got.
I got pretty jumbled here. Like, honestly, 7 on, I didn't really feel all that strongly about any of them, just because I think they're all good players. But no honorable mentions, like I said before in our quarterback show, so I'm just going to go give it straight. Number 10, Devante Adams. Number 9, Tyreek Hill. Number 8, T. Higgins.
Okay. Ooh, that's a good list. All right, Matt, what were your 10, 9, and 8?
Yeah, so I told you guys that I went coward with number 10, because for me, I had 10 to, and then I had number 10 and then 10 guys after him, like all in the same list. And I really wanted to put either Brandon Ayuk or Ladd McConkey at number 10. But Ayuk, I definitely would have had top 10 going, coming out of 2023, like going into 2024. And if he wasn't coming off a stupid contract thing, I definitely would have had him top 10. So I feel pretty bullish he can get back into it. Ladd McConkey, I'm so high on after his rookie year. And like I said, there's another group of like 8 dudes that I could have at number 10, but I ultimately went coward and I left Tyreek Hill at number 10. And I really wanted to drop him out of the top 10 because I'm just I want to be out early on Tyreek for a variety of different reasons. And I'm a little just concerned about coming into this season for him, just overall with where he's at. But so that was kind of its own tier, was 10 to all those dudes to basically like wide receiver 20. It's pretty jumbled there. I thought 6 to 9 were very clear in their own group. And I have Drake London at 9 and Malik Nabers at 10. Excuse me, 8. Sorry.
So, okay. You have Malik Nabers at 8, and who's you have at 9?
Nabers at 8, Drake London at 9, and Tyreek Hill, cowardly, I left at 10.
Okay. So Tyreek Hill did not make my top 10, and I think we're on the beginning of the beginning of the downslope.
Yeah, we are. No, 100%.
And so I want to bail. If stock market has taught me anything, you want to get out early before it's too late. But so Tyreek did not make mine, but my 10 through 8, he was on the next list, I would say, which I would include these next 2 guys would be probably part of that. So number 10, I want Brian Thomas Jr. for the Jaguars, which might be a little early on it, but then the more I watched, I'm like, yeah, actually. At number 9, I had Scary Terry McLaurin, which apparently I'm the only one had to include these 2 in my top 10. I thought Scary Terry might make it. I've actually always been a guy that's like, oh, Scary's more of a high end 2, maybe a low end 1. Nah. Maybe it's the Jane Daniels magic, that chemistry, whatever it is. But seeing how Terry played last year and everything he did, the contested catches in the end zone, like such a weapon in the end zone, like back shoulders and everything. Again, some of that's with Jane Daniels and the accuracy that he throws and the ball placement. But man, Terry had more to his game than maybe even I gave credit for. And I really liked Terry. And I was, but just the dirty work stuff I always liked, the speed I always liked. Thought route running, he was a solid route runner. But the ball skills, maybe have been lower on him. And watching last year was kind of, revelatory. I was very excited watching Terry last year. And then number 8, I had Amon-Ra St. Brown, who really appreciate the production. Some of the dirty work stuff he does, you can tell he's a really smart player. Just other guys I might prefer other things that they can do as well. But one of the most productive players, one of the most reliable players, how strong he is, how he can come down with the ball as well. So I know I'm the low guy on Amon-Ra St. Brown, but that's just kind of a little preference thing. But he is strongly included in the top 10 for me, as opposed to maybe 9 and 10 for maybe the differences. But Charles, you also had Devante Adams in your top 10 and T. Higgins. Devante Adams, I just missed mine. I'm very excited about him this year, but mention why you had Adams first, included in your top 10.
Well, first, I just want to say there's too many receivers. There's
So many good ones.
Tell me about it.
I know, like,
yeah, I know.
every year we keep saying, "Wow, it's another strong receiver class, another strong receiver class," and then you're starting to do this exercise. I'm like, dude, there's probably like 30 guys I could put at 10. Now it's like, that's
18
okay.
made my initial off the top of my head list. I
had 20.
That's a lot.
But for 10, I went Devante Adams. I think he still has some number one wide receiver skills available for him in the Rams. I think based on what he did last year with Rodgers, I thought the miscues in production were more on Rodgers than they were Adams. Still got a lot of athleticism left. Still got a lot of ball skills left. So I think in a more steady, cohesive environment like the one that Sean McVay has built for the Rams will be better for him. And I don't know like how many more years he has being a guy that could potentially go out there and be a dominant receiver production-wise, but I do think he's got at least one. And I think that this is the environment to get it out of him.
Yeah, I wanted to include him so much. I mean, it was hard. I kept up Mike Evans and Devante Adams, and maybe I don't know what it was. Just those two. I was like, I want to include them because I think they're like I know what they are, and I think this is gonna be a good year for them. But I just kind of kept them off. You also had T. Higgins in your top 10, Charles, at number 8. You were the only one that included him in your top 10. Not that he was part of my short list as well. But why did you kind of give T. Higgins the nod to include him in the top 10?
Honestly, because I was getting
everybody.
I was just getting a little frustrated, like trying to whittle down the list, and I was like, man, how long am I really going to spend on this? Like, I can't spend all day.
You
on
just
this.
go with the guys you like. You're like,
right, exactly. So I was like, I like T. Higgins. I like watching T. Higgins play. I think he's awesome, and so he made my top 10 out of this jumbled list.
Perfect.
Like, that's literally how it went. And for 10. I literally did a coin flip between Devante Adams and Drake London and on Devante Adams. So that's why he got number 10 for me. Man, dude, T. Higgins, I just love watching him play. And I think when the Bengals offense is at its best and they're just shredding guys, you kind of get to see that T. Higgins is the wide receiver that can do a little bit of everything. Whether it's the jump ball stuff down the field, even some of the shorter stuff like towards the sideline, I think he's really good. Just a really complete player, and they were able to sign him for, honestly, if you look at the contract, a pretty team-friendly deal that they can get out of like after a year if they want to, which I don't think they'll need to because I think he's one of the best receivers in the league. So I think he's a guy that could have gone on to another team and been able to stand tall as the number one receiver. But obviously in this situation, it's just going to be what we see more, where a really good receiver gets to take advantage of some really good opportunities because you've got Jamar Chase on the other side. And I think that'll continue this year. Yeah,
no, I love Higgins. He's my preferred type of receiver. I think what you just mentioned too, when we were talking about Burrow and the quarterback list, quarterback rankings, is I think some of Higgins' route running underneath and like outbreakers is a little better than maybe it keeps getting better. I'm not going to say he's the best route runner in the world, but he's a very solid route runner, and he's becoming more refined, and maybe they've limited some of the ones that he's not as good at because he's so long-legged and stuff. But man, he is a little more fluid, coming out of breaks and stuff than maybe I've given him credit for. Matt, you are the only one with Malik Nabers in your top 10. You had him at number 8. Again, not disagreeing because I had Higgins and Nabers also included in my short list. But Malik Nabers, you're very bullish on him. Talk about why this PPR explosive play monster is in your top 10.
Yeah, speaking to just what Charles said about just how there's too many damn receivers. And actually, Nate, your point about Terry McLaurin's funny because I've always been the high guy on Terry.
Yes.
I'm like, he's a top 10 receiver. Like, you guys just don't know it because he's playing in goofball offenses with middling to bad quarterbacks. I mean, people were talking about Sam Howell at one point. Like, give me a break. I mean, come on. So, I've always been the high guy on Terry, but now I just think like it's not that he's fallen off. In fact, you could argue he's still just as good as ever, and he's playing with a quarterback who's finally able to kind of accentuate that. But it's just there's so many young receivers that are coming in and just pushing these That's rankings. And that the group last year, the 2024 class, I just posted, I mean, I don't know when people are going to be listening to this, but I just posted the year 2 receivers on reception perception. This class freaking rules, man. Like, I mean, it just, this is going to be, we're going to look back on this as a really special classic. Everybody knows Nabers, and I wanted to, like, Brian Thomas Jr. was on my short list. Like I mentioned, Ladd McConkey was a guy fighting for my 10 spot. I wanted to include someone here. And shoot, by the way, like I also think maybe Ricky Pearsall is not going to be like a top 10 receiver, but it wouldn't totally surprise me if, Rome Odunze or Marvin Harrison Jr., just based on what they did as a rookie, if they take another step, they could be in this conversation. They're not right now, but they could be, like, because that's how good this class is. But I think just proof of concept right now, I think the guy with the highest ceiling is Malik Nabers, what he does against press man coverage. I think he was better against zone coverage, like consistently settling down than Brian Thomas Jr. was. And I think when you just look at him from like a boundary perspective, he could play all 3 receiver positions. That's really exciting for Malik Nabers. What he does with the ball in his hands is it was special as a prospect, and he backed it up on film as a rookie. And then when I spoke to him at the Super Bowl, and this is like a little bit, sometimes this can get you a little more juiced up on a guy. You talked about this with CJ Stroud on the quarterback episode, Nate. When I talked to Nabers and just like asked him a very simple question about like what goes into being a good yards after catch player. And, typically I expect when I ask a guy like that question, they're going to talk about, being big, fast, and strong, blah, 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 blah. He had like a long, thoughtful answer about like watching defenders and spatial awareness and all this. And I was like, oh my God, that just made me like this guy even more. Like it just made like the ceiling even higher to me. If like he's already a freak show and he's putting this much thought into the craftsman portion of not just route running, but also what he does with the ball in his hands, I think the ceiling on him is really, really high. But like I said, Ladd and Brian Thomas Jr. deserve to be in this conversation too after their rookie. If people think it's a hot to talk about Ladd McConkey this way, they're not watching him play. That's just the reality of the situation.
He's unguardable. It's more like the only one that screws Ladd is Ladd. His body, falling apart. Like that's it. It's not his play. No, I totally agree with you, Neighbors. It's all these guys. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm not going to lie, I included on that 18 list because I was like, we're talking about this upcoming year. And I'm still so bullish on him. I'm still so bullish on Dunze, like you mentioned. There's other guys in this class I still really like. Well, Jalen Polk is not one. But Malik Nabers, though, is if he's able to do this with DeVito throwing to him and the coaches trying to save their jobs. And he gets hyper usage, but the thing is he's worth the usage. And just I keep always coming back to this. The name of the game is explosive plays, and Nabers is going to be one of the most explosive players in the league, as long as he's in the league. He just has that A-class twitch and ball skills and stuff. So I'm very excited to like kind of watch him develop with whatever quarterback is throwing to him this year and see the varying kind of chemistry that he's going to have to overcome. But I think he's going to find it somewhere because he's just that talented of a player. I'll hold on the Drake London discussion because I'll just give you let's go receiver 7 and 6 and receiver. I'll start because that was a segue that works for me. Number 7, Drake London. Number 6, CeeDee Lamb, which I'll talk about in a sec, maybe once we get to CeeDee Lamb. But Charles, who are your 7 and 6?
7 and 6. I had Amon-Ra St. Brown 7 and Nico Collins 6.
Okay. And then Matt, who'd you have at 7 and 6?
I had Amon-Ra St. Brown at 7 and Puka Nakua at 6.
Okay, so I was only one spot off with Amon-Ra St. Brown with you guys. I was like, oh no. It was like, oh, Lions fans, no. I'm gonna get Holmes in my mentions. But no, all right, let's start
they
with.
Won't be happy. By the way, they will not like unless you say St. Brown's the best receiver in the league. They're not going to be happy.
They're never happy. They're never happy.
Come on,
they're never
happy.
You
go from you don't go like from the hero to the villain faster than any fan base than the Detroit Lions over the last few years. Which that's the price of success. So again,
it is. At least they don't have like some young like quarterback that's actually not very good. Like I'm saying Goff is fine. I'm saying like young guy, that's what makes the fan bases just increase to another level. But no, all right. So we have St. Brown here. I'm gonna actually start with my London discussion. Matt, you had him at number 9. I had him at number 7. But why bullish on Drake London? And Charles, you said he lost the coin flip to make the 10 spot, I believe. So we'll call it the de facto number 11. But Drake London, Matt, why are you bullish on him in 2025? I know you are a fan, but I want to hear more.
Yeah. It's funny. Like we're talking about that 2024 class. I thought, the 2022 class was actually pretty similar in that, those guys were all pretty tight at the top, but I do think that Drake London has pulled away from Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, not by much. Olave didn't make my short list. I'm like, I could see a scenario where he is in this discussion next year. Garrett Wilson did kind of make my not short list after the fact, but John Dotson didn't, who was drafted in that draft class, in case anybody's curious. Didn't make the short list. But
Traylon Burks?
Oh, come on, bro. I was never a Burks guy. But anyways, with Drake London, man, fantastic player. You can throw him out there at X receiver, and he has the press coverage ability and the ball skills to win there, even if he's not the fastest guy in a straight line. He is so fluid underneath to beat press man coverage, but this new Falcons staff last year did a great job like moving him around the formation, putting him in the slot, getting him off the line of scrimmage, and he just truly became like another tier of a weapon better because of that. Whenever he was inside, like, just hit him on an inbreaker again and again and again and again. I think he could be a candidate to lead the NFL in catches if Michael Penix is the guy. And I think Penix probably stylistically is just not going to lead to that type of efficiency from his wide receiver one in terms of leading the NFL in catches. But if he played, and I'm not saying that Goff or Penix or what, like that's not a discussion. But if he played like with a Goff type, I think he would catch like 130 passes because he's that level of efficiency. But I think what we saw with Penix when he was under center in the final 3 games, like he's going to unlock that area of Drake London's game where he's so good along the boundary, he's so good on these like deep outbreakers. So and he sneaks up on you after the catch. So yeah, I think Drake London's been playing at a level where he's like kind of knocking on that door of a top 10 receiver, and I think this is the year, like consensus wise, he absolutely smashes through it.
I've been a fan of London since came out, been a fan of him with whoever's calling plays there, even the Arthur Smith offense and everything. He catches everything. And I just think that, yes, he's not this deep threat. He's not going to take every throw to every catch to the house, but at his game, his box that he plays in, he's elite. Like he is top tier ball skills, top tier contested catch guy. And it's not theory. He's doing it week in, week out. The versatility brought up that they moved him around. That's why I like him too. He also is willing to get gritty as a blocker. Same with St. Brown. Like actually, that's why I tier these two together, because it's like I think they are similar style players, even though they're built differently. St. Brown and London, both USC guys that, I saw Jackson Dart with Drake London, but not St. Brown so much. But yeah, I watched that offense in there at USC, but just a big ball winner that does a lot and is very good at that skill set. Like that's why I like it so much. It's not just, again, like, oh, he's a big guy. Then you see him just get dogged by some undersized corner or something like that. But no, I also on this next little list here, Charles, starting the Nico Collins love at number 6. Spoilers, he's higher on my list, and I'm going to guess he's higher on Matt's list. But Nico Collins, why number 6? Why ahead of maybe guys Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, Devante Adams? Some real names here. Why do you have him at number 6?
I think to me this is where I guess I started kind of like the no-brainer wide receiver 1 tier on this list. And I think just everything that he afforded the Houston Texans offense last year from I think the best way to describe Nico Collins is you saw what happened when he was out of the games. It got really, really difficult for them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. They had nothing, really. They had nothing. And I think in an offense that is that was kind of as incomplete as Houston's was, you kind of got to see how much he added to the offense, from the ability to stretch the field deep, the ability to take short stuff and make big plays off of it. It just kind of felt like he had really come into his own, where the physical ability that you saw at Michigan and coming into the league had kind of actualized itself into being like, oh no, this is just flat out one of the best wide receivers in football. Someone who can really actually break a game wide open, and someone who had become absolutely essential to the Texans offense with how they were constructed last year. So I don't really see why that would change, because I think when you have a switch that offensive coordinator, and maybe you're going through some bumps in the roads with your 2 rookie wide receivers that you just added, it helps to have something that feels as sure and as solid as where Nico Collins and CJ Stroud's relationship was on the field last year. So I think he's going to take off this year. If he doesn't get hurt, I would imagine he's going to have the absolutely bonkers season production-wise, and he's just like a clear-cut wide receiver 1. Don't even really have to think about it.
No, I think Matt and I are going to continue that sentiment that you just had there. We all had the same top 6 in some order. So I think, Charles, what you said there, this is the cut. It's kind of like, I think the 6 to me, I know Matt has a lot of opinions on who's elite and who's 1 and who's a 1B and a 2A and everything in your tiers. But I think to me, these are the 6 dudes. And this is the cutoff. You had Nico Collins, Matt had Puka Nakua, I had CeeDee Lamb. But in some way, shape, or form, it's this top 6. We're going to take a break, and I'll get to why I was lowest maybe on CeeDee Lamb, even though I'm a huge fan. And we'll also probably talk about Puka Nakua some more. But we're going to take a break right now. See you guys in a sec. All right, we are back, and we're going to get into our top 5. I had spoilers before the break that we have the same top 6. So kind of a little hint of where we're going with this. Charles, who are your number 5 and 4 on your top 10 receivers?
Number 5 and 4, I had CeeDee Lamb and Puka Nakua. Yeah, we're all going to have the same
and Matt, 6, who are your 5 and 4?
I have Nico Collins and AJ Brown at 5 and 4. I will just say about Puka real quick. I think he is I think 5 to 1 are its own tier. I haven't charted Puka Nakua yet as the time we're taping this. I'm kind of waiting to graduate him to that tier until after I do that. But
he's just a Puka tier right now.
Right. Correct. Yeah. He's in the purgatory tier.
Gotcha. I had for my 5 and 4, I had Puka Nakua at 5, Nico Collins at 4. All right, so I like this. It's the same names, but just little differences, little changes on here. So Matt, why are you lowest though on AJ Brown for this top 5 ranking?
I mean, I don't know.
Just prefer others. I know they're all sick.
They're all so sick. They're all so similar. I didn't expect to come in and be the low man on AJ Brown and have to defend that at all. I mean, it's the 4th best receiver in football. I mean, he's a complete player. Like I have no problem with his game at all. So I mean, it's not as if I'm like honestly, like I said, these guys are all the same tier to me. So if you prefer AJ Brown to the guys I have, I would say maybe at 3, like the guy I'm going to have at 3. If you have him ahead, that's fine with me.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes total sense. Again, so Charles had CeeDee Lamb at 5. I had him at 6, and again, so like Matt said, okay, 5, top 6. So CeeDee is that cutoff for me. CeeDee to me though is the best power slot guy, I guess, to put it. A best guy that I think can work in the middle, get some yak in the middle. They don't ask him to do a lot of the dirty work stuff anymore. When you pay a guy that much money, I wouldn't do that either. That's not why you pay a guy to do that, even though that's a great aspect of his game. And I liked a lot when they split him outside. It's just that maybe that Cowboys offense was never able to fully take advantage of it. Maybe 2 years ago when Brandon Cooks came in, before he kind of fell off a cliff too. But you kind of got to see it. You see kind of maybe move him around, not only just line him up at X, but target him as the X receiver. So you got to see a little bit more of that. It's just that I just think I'm always going to go in my scouting brain. All right, how do you win on the outside? Can you win on the outside? Are you really good on the outside? The slot stuff is the cherry on top. Ideally, it's both. I think CeeDee is excellent from the slot, good on the outside. It just might be these other guys are excellent on the outside to me. So maybe that's why I just, this is the tie breaks. This is the top 6. They're all the same tier for me. So maybe that's why I explained my ranking for CeeDee Lamb. But Charles, you had him at 5. Why? What? Give us some CeeDee Lamb love, and Matt, you had him in your top 3, I'm assuming as well. But Charles, why some CeeDee Lamb in your top 5?
I just think like at his best, and I know that he and Dak weren't quite always on the same page last year in ways they were the year before. It just feels so consistent in a way that you don't really have to think about. Like, oh, I know, and to me, that's, I guess, like that comfort level is something that you look for in elite NFL players, where it's like, okay, well, I know if CeeDee Lamb's out here, we're going to be able to get a good like 10 quality targets over the middle of the field because he's CeeDee Lamb. And I think that just like that certainty, it's kind of,
I mean, seriously,
it's kind of hard.
He's like automatic.
It's kind of hard to talk about elite
seriously.
players sometimes, you know. It's where it's just like, well,
he's like a basketball player to get like, you know, where you're getting. He's getting you 18 and 8. You know, 18 and 9, like automatic. He's gonna be efficient. No, so continue.
Yeah, and you just don't really have to think about it. And I think that he has set such a high baseline on what you can expect from him that I just expect him to get back to being, another All-Pro level receiver this year. And I think that with Dak hopefully improve from where he was over the first, handful of games before he got hurt last year, you're probably going to see a big improvement from the Cowboys offense. But he's just, to me, he's just one of those no-brainers, high floor players. And I think that what's kind of impressive about him is I kind of don't always look at guys who live in the slot as like, oh, I think you're one of like the true best receivers in the league. But he is like he's just productive. He does all the tough stuff you need as a wide receiver in terms of catching the ball. He can go make big plays down the field at times. So there's just a lot to like with this guy, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this offense looks like with the offensive lineman they just drafted, Tyler Booker, and obviously getting Dak Prescott back on the center.
And Pickens is going to open up stuff. Like I really do think it's going to. I think we're all pretty bullish on the Cowboys again. Charles predicted this Super Bowl week. God dang it.
That's right.
But
Jerry, he trapped us again. He did the thing. He trapped us.
He did. I take the bait every time. Last year was Mike Zimmer. This year, I take the bait every year. Honestly, but I even looked at my tiers. Amon-Ra St. Brown and then Drake London, CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee's the best of that little group, but they all kind of are the power slots that can do a little on the outside. And that to me is maybe that's why I had him tier that way. And I didn't even do that on purpose. I think my brain automatically did that a little bit too. Also, CeeDee is one of the best, even though he's not the fastest guy, he's so good with the ball in his hands. Like he has really good vision, contact balance, and those things too. Also, I thought I was going to be the highest guy in Puka Nakua at 5. He's in Pukatory from Matt, but you had him at 4, Charles. Why'd you give the nod to Puka Nakua? I actually didn't know you were this big of a fan of him, so I'm actually curious to hear about it. He rocks, man. Until rocks.
Until I started putting this together, I really didn't know that I was this high on him. But honestly, I think it might mostly be like the toughest catches on his tape are stuff that I don't know how many other receivers can actually do. Where it's the coordination along the sideline where you're seeing like the toe tap stuff, the body control that I think he has like some of these like secondary athletic traits sometimes if you think of when you were talking about draft prospects, like where you're not talking about just like straight line speed or explosion, but more like
other
the body
forms
control.
of athleticism.
Yes. He is like super duper elite in those forms in a way that I think pushes him into spots where he can be productive for most guys who have just like his straight, height, weight, speed can't. So it's like the concentration, the body control, the balance, and just like the hands. Like he's just super duper consistent. And I think that when you start just looking at the production over the past, really, I mean, since he got started. Since he got into the league, you look at the production, it just kind of started becoming more undeniable. And I think that his style of play, it kind of meshes with Stafford so well because Stafford's he's going to give you the chances down the field. And as I know we've spoken about on this show before, if Stafford trusts you, you're going to get like 100, 150, 160 targets a year just based off of that. So you get to see the full kind of display of his repertoire, and I think it's really, really complete the more you start putting it together. And I really just kind of fell in love with this game when I was skimming through the tape for this.
That's it. The last month of the season when he came back in injury second half of the season, but it's like the last month. I think Matt, I even said it to you. I was like, where do we rank Puka? Because I had like an epiphany. I was like, dude, this is a top 5 receiver. Like, it's not just like, oh, he's fun. He's like a Robert Woods plus. Yeah, it's like, no, this dude's awesome. Like, this guy does everything. And you just said it too, like production wise too, Charles. And again, some of this is the hyper efficient Rams offense and having Stafford and everything. But you don't do this by accident. So since he entered the league, so there's been 118 receivers over the last 2 years that run 400 more routes. So that's the qualifiers here. Puka Nakua is first in success rate per route. So successful target per route at 18%. The league average for the receivers is 9.8%. So almost double the league average. If you're looking at baseball stats and looking like OPS, that means OPS plus, that's 200, what he's doing right there. First downs per route run, second, only behind Tyreek Hill, but at 13.6%. Explosive plays per route run, second, only behind Nico Collins. Actually tied with Nico Collins, so I'm maybe just one in there. And he's second in yards per route run at 2.92. 3 yards per route run in one season is phenomenal. 2.92 over your first 2 years in the league. You're doing something right. And yes, system's going to help him out and everything. And yes, Sean McVay uses him perfectly, but you can use him perfectly in a lot of ways. And also just talking what you said, Charles, about his ball skills and stuff. I think actually Matt, I'm tying this all together. I think Matt, you actually brought this up that he wanted to get better at some of the ball skill stuff. I think you talked about his improvement and everything when we were talking about him during the year, that he really wanted to, get better at those types of things. So it's kind of encouraging to see. It's like, oh, you're a ball winner. You're good with the ball in your hands. He's good on jet sweeps and yak stuff like crossers, good against zone, still not the fastest guy in the world, but he just does so much. And just such a detailed player too. And so smart. Really one of my favorite players in the league, like period. Any position is Puka Nakua. And so I'm kind of very excited that we get to talk about him, shine some light on here, including him in our list. The one guy that I had, Nico Collins at 4, which I thought, Matt, you're going to beat me there. That was the guy I was curious where you put him in there.
I'm also pissed about that. That's like the same thing with the Terry McLaurin.
I thought you were going to be the high guy on him, and I'm the high guy on him. But I'm a 4, you had him at 5. Everything you guys said, though, Nico's the dude. Yeah, there's one of the fastest guys in the NFL, one of the best deep ball guys, great on intermediate breakers, great with the ball in his hands, contested catches, route running. I love big, strong X receivers. And yeah, and he can run and he's got ball skills. And this is a guy I've always just been like kind of lukewarm on. And then I would say the last 2 years, I'm like, hope maybe CJ Stroud helps, but I'm just like, oh my God, you're a dude. Like you are just like a real top 5 receiver, number 4 to me. So I wanted to give him a shout too. So Matt, why'd you have him at the low ranking of 5, Nico Collins? Because you hate him so much.
Shut up.
Has he been your guy since like day one?
Yes.
You've been like a Nico guy since day one, if I remember.
Since like his early in his rookie season, like when I do the in-season rookie report for reception perception, I highlighted there that like, oh no, this guy plays like at that time like T. Higgins, and now I think he's like 2 tiers better than T. Higgins as a player. So that's like where he's just made that like jump in development. But just straight up, like every summer or every podcast that went on in the summer after CJ Stroud was drafted, and every one of your favorite NFL podcasts was like, who's CJ Stroud throwing to? Nico Collins, like saying like that's like wow, literally none of these people have watched Nico Collins play, which is fine. I didn't want to watch like Davis Mills play quarterback, but it's like my cross to bear. So like watching Nico in isolation his first 2 years, fantastic player. I think what I would have said back then, great in contested situations, great against man coverage, like great on these in-breaking routes. Now, 2 years later, I would say he is dominant at the catch point. He is dominant with the ball in his hands. He's dominant and gets every form of coverage out there. And he's done it all as like an 80-80 player, like 80% outside, 80% on the line of scrimmage. And like the role that everybody's complaining about Marvin Harrison Jr. playing in his rookie season, Nico Collins is playing that role, and he's one of the most efficient receivers in the NFL because yes, like you said, CJ Stroud is good. Hilarious that a few people like called him like a Bobby Slowick merchant his first year. Like, okay, give me a break. But like
Slowick was a CJ Stroud merchant.
Yeah, right. But CJ Stroud, like, yeah, that helps obviously to have the accurate quarterback who can deliver the football to all 3 areas of the field and set Collins up to be excellent with the ball in his hands. But he does all that in isolation, and he could do that with any quarterback in any offense. I'm actually pretty excited at this. I didn't think about this, but the more I've marinated on like Nick Caley coming over as the offensive coordinator, I wonder if Nico actually gets to move around a little bit more. Like we're talking about all these things that Puka Nakua gets to do, from all these different splits and formations and alignments. I wonder if we see less of Nico just at that X receiver position. And I'm encouraged that we're going to see Jaden Higgins not just play X receiver, but there's going to be times when he is the boundary receiver to allow Nico to do more things. So yeah, I think he is a candidate for the Triple Crown this year to lead the NFL in catches, yards, and touchdowns. Like he is that good. And I think this system will be that good for him.
I like that.
Just stay healthy, bro. Like just stay healthy.
We've had that too. Yeah, we've had two good takes in May that we got to remember. Stone and Madison. We got number one Broncos number one defense for me, and we got Nico Collins potential Triple Crown winner, which I
Trevor Lawrence top 10 quarterback. So we'll see.
Okay, yeah, that one too. Okay, I'm right. It's been 1 hour since we recorded that show, and I'm just like, God dang it, Nate. Thank God I'm going to be off social media here when this show comes out.
Smart.
Smart. I know. That was one I just had to include and say bullshit on. Yeah, so over the last 2 years, though, Nico Collins had 200 snaps from the slot, so 18%, which ranked the 118 qualifying receivers ranked 105th. So yeah, there's some room to move around a little bit there, but yeah, Nico to me, when I evaluated him out of Michigan, I had a late second, early third grade on him. He went where I thought he should go. And I was just like, oh, he's a big X. He could be a Gallup, like just like a good starting X, but a little stiff, maybe not as it's like, dude got faster, more explosive. Maybe I was just, the routes weren't right for him. And it's just like seeing his game evolve has been really cool. And now I'm one of his biggest fans. And for a guy that, like I said, I started his career kind of lukewarm. And every year I watched Davis Mills to make sure he wasn't a dude. I'm like, okay, wow, this guy's 12 is making another play there. Wow, 12 on a comeback there. Look at that route. And then you can see it keep going and going. So glad he's included on all of our lists here because I think he deserves it. Charles, we're getting to our top three. We're on the podium here. Who are your top three receivers for 2025?
My top three receivers. I have AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. I think the top two are kind of in their own tier from these other four. But AJ Brown, number three. I am just a sucker for powerhouse wide receivers. I grew up watching Julio Jones. This is what makes me feel closest to Julio. It's just like he's it's just funny because at his best, it's almost like having it's kind of like watching a playground bully out there sometimes where he's just so much bigger and stronger than the people who are covering him, but he still has the athleticism to punish people for big plays down the field where it's kind of like sometimes like watching like your dad like try to box you out, like if you're playing basketball when you guys are younger and he's just like, nope, you're not gonna be able to get one on me, and he's just shoving people out the way and still doing what he needs to do out there. So that's why I like AJ Brown. I mean, it's just the ultimate physical force as a wide receiver one. And I think what's fun about where he is like playing with Jalen Hurts, you kind of get to see like the version of that where they have to lean on the most because like he's doing the go balls, he's doing the stuff after the catch, and it's just a bunch of strong man games, and I think that's fun, and that's why he gets number three.
I like that. Matt, your top three?
I have CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. That's kind of the same that I had with Charles there. Like what you said with the top two guys, they're pretty interchangeable. I ultimately just went with Jamar Chase with the kind of cop out of, hey, if we're saying this is for 2025, I have a little bit more faith in his quarterback than like JJ McCarthy, just an unproven entity at this point. Now, Justin Jefferson has literally proven he could be dominant with anybody. We've seen that over the course of his career, but again, just that's why I gave the slight edge to Jamar Chase, and he's coming off the damn Triple Crown himself, so got to give him the edge there.
Very true. Yes, I went three. Oh, God, actually, I didn't realize how spicy this would be. I went Jamar Chase at 3, AJ Brown at 2, Justin Jefferson at 1. Just a preference thing. And what you guys mentioned with Brown, AJ Brown, it's one of these guys where even when he got traded to Philly, I was like, well, he's kind of limited. Running breakers with him. He's great with the yak. I love him as a yak monster, and we'll see. Okay. And then that's such a vertical offense, passing game, I should say, with the Eagles. And it was like, oh, yeah, you were an all-American baseball player who can track the ball with the best of them and the late hands and like all of those aspects of his game. Even if the Eagles offense has always been kind of like, a little limited and everything, how dominant he is. No one gets open on stop routes more than AJ Brown because he's 230 pounds and people are scared of him going run by them. And so you can just throw a guy off. And he has moments of frustration, some drops or anything like that. It's AJ Brown reading a book on the sideline. He's a receiver.
Reading a book, yeah.
Reading a book. Reading a book.
Oh, I read it every week. No, you don't. No one's ever seen you read the book before.
It's on page 1. Perfect crease. And there's a play from the Super Bowl. Maybe it's because it ruined a prediction that I tilted my shoulder back on. Was Hurts throws a route to Dallas Goedert. It's first quarter, and Trent McDuffie gets a defensive pass interference on it. It's Palms coverage. He's falling off on it, and he's supposed to undercut it. And Jalen Hurts completed the same pass against him in the first Super Bowl, and that's why I predicted that they'd pick this one off. And I was like, oh, and there it was. McDuffie falls off, but he stumbles when he's falling off. He recognizes it, and why he stumbles is he's so scared of A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown's so strong that when he does his little, what they call an under route or a fin route, 5-6 yards and square in, he's so strong that McDuffie kind of just gets blown back when he breaks, and then he's trying to regroup, and then he's late to rally to the pick, and then he gets a DPI in Dallas Goedert. So even when AJ Brown's not getting targeted, he's still affecting the play. I know gravity is in certain ways, and the Eagles get some gravity because everyone's so scared of him and Devante Smith and everything. But just those little things too. He's just such a physical and dominant guy that he's actually affecting the game otherwise. and those kind of plays just catch up. And also he breaks so many tackles, just so hard to beat one-on-one, all that stuff. And then Jamar Chase, just no one tackles him. The first tackler never tackles him. It's one of the coolest things to watch in football. Incredible with the ball in his hands. He's easy top 3 for me. I could have put him at 2. I would not call him, but I just think Justin Jefferson's the dude. So that's why he's just the dude to me. He has the belt. No matter who he's playing quarterback with, everything he can do, he can fit in every offense. He can do everything, inside, outside, every type of route, yak, deep ball, ball tracking, rare moves like a mech in a video game where his legs and his top aren't conjoined, they move in separate ways. I just love Jefferson, so I'm always just partial to him. But I don't think you guys could go wrong with any of these top 3 guys, or for me, these top 3 guys, how you ranked them. So even when you had Jamar Chase at 1, Matt, which I get, because it's just so with the things that he's doing, he's so explosive.
Yeah, I think he's always been really underrated as a technician, in terms of just his ability to and obviously teams are scared of him going over the top, but that's because he's so good at selling that go route and then running the stop route, comes throttling down, coming back. I think he's gotten better and better, working over the middle of the field, better and better, just on slant routes, that was something that maybe he was so vertically inclined in his first couple of years, but they've done more with him. He was a guy that came into the league in his first year and basically only lined up at X receiver, which is crazy because they also have T. Higgins, who's a carved from stone X receiver, but they've actually done more to flip those 2 roles around because it's allowed them to just get the football in Jamar Chase's hands. And like you said, not only does the first tackler never bring him down, he's also probably of these, and to me 1 to 5 is all the same tier. There can be a season when, I just said, Nico Collins, who was my number 5, could be the best receiver in football, and Jamar Chase could be the 5th, and we're not there's no need to cry about that and pull your hair out about that. Who cares? But I think of the top 5, if I was just to say who's the one guy that I think could go from the 50-yard line to the end zone like that, he's probably the number 1 candidate.
And he did it 20 times.
Right. Yeah. And I can say that because I've seen him do it.
There's 3 plays I can think of where he's just breaking off, he catches it at an 8-yard gain that turns into 70, 60 because he's breaking 14 tackles and everything. Yeah. It's his yak ability has just been so fun to watch in the NFL. That I always kind of even when I graded him out of LSU, I was he's going to be a touchdown machine because his ball skills are so good and he's so strong. But it's just been all that yak stuff has just been really fun. And I know, Matt, you've been move him to the slot, move him to the number 3 spot. You even asked him about it, I remember last year. And it is kind of cool to see him kind of develop a feel. I always thought that you maybe kind of rush some things. And now it's he's adding some nuance, and it makes sense. He's so young. So it is really cool to watch the underneath stuff.
Yeah, he's one of these guys that's always been really great against press man coverage, but the zone coverage stuff has been, I'm not going to say it was ever poor, but it's been above average. And now I think, like you said, the feel for it. This is if your first note on a rookie receiver is, his feel for zone coverage wasn't great. That's fine.
Teachable.
Like that's teachable. Like if in the right offense with the right coaches and like obviously the right player who's going to work on it, that can get better and better. So that's where you can go from like wide receiver 8 in the league, like Malik Nabers, I have wide receiver 8. If he continues to develop in that area, like he could be in this top 5. Like it's just that's something that can get better.
Charles, any closing notes? Anything about Jefferson? How much you like him? Any other comments on the top 10?
No, I think Justin Jefferson's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's really good. Really good.
There's one play that sticks out in my mind last year. I think it was the Vikings. I want to say maybe the Lions game late in the season where Darnold's under pressure and he just throws like this wild pass that's way behind Justin Jefferson. And like in stride, he just snatches back.
Say Lions game, Sam Darnold wild pass. That's
pressure. Yeah, but he just reaches back like in stride, and he reaches back behind him with one hand, snatches out the air, and then just keeps running. I'm like, yeah, that guy's just different, just totally different.
Like growing up around Randy and Moss, it was like these guys, all these top guys, they kind of move different or have those abilities where it's like you stand out. Even someone that never watched football can go like, oh, you're different. And that's the thing with Jefferson. He just, again, talking about athleticism shows up in different ways. He is fast. He's not the fastest guy, but somehow he moves faster than everybody else. Always just one tick faster than everybody else. He is not the bendiest guy I've ever seen, but then he moves and can contort his body differently than other guys. I don't know. It's just like these, he's not elite at all of them, but ends up being elite. That doesn't make any sense, but it does. And it's just like the combination of all of it is just, he's one such a cool player. A lot of these guys are such cool players. That's why they made our top 10. I'll read them off. Charles went at number 10. Again, we had a lot of short lists or medium lists or long lists that could have made this, but number 10, Devante Adams, then Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nakua, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. That's some LSU at the top. And then Matt had Tyreek Hill, Drake London, Malik Nabers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nakua, Nico Collins, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, even more LSU. And then I had Brian Thomas Jr., Terry McLaurin, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nakua, Nico Collins, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, and Justin Jefferson. Again, more LSU. A lot of LSU, a lot of Ohio State, some USC. God, actually, when you break this down, it's not a lot of colleges that we're listing off here. But dude, no,
even CeeDee Lamb's from Louisiana. Like, what's going on? What's going on down there?
He's the one. God, I know. You just look at this list, and the BYU. Just throw a BYU in there. Yeah. You know. John Smith, BYU. No, but we are closing it out today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for our listing. I don't know why I said it like that. Our ranking episode that we'll be doing throughout June while I'm on paternity leave. We'll be back next week with a little bit more. I'm Nate Tice. Find me at Nate_Tice. That's Charles McDonald. You can find him at 4Verts on Twitter and Blue Sky. And that's Matt Harmon. You can find him at Matt Harmon, either BYB or _BYB on Twitter and Blue Sky as well. I got that right? I'm going to figure them out by the time. I have them all memorized. They're sure. I just go at Matt and then it fills in for me so that I just go. But mailbag, make sure you send those in. Football 301 mailbag at yahoosports.com or leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us, follow us, rate us those 5 stars. We'd really, really appreciate it, especially while we're taking a little break here before we hit training camp, which is going to be a lot of fun. But watch us on YouTube as well on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes, Stone, Madison, everybody. You guys make us look and sound good, sorting out all this paternity leave stuff for me. So I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone for listening. See you guys next time.